Let's dive into something really honest for a moment. When was the last time your birthday actually felt like your birthday? I'm talking about that real, heart-pounding excitement you felt as a kid, not just a date on your phone or a few polite messages, but that magical feeling that made everything seem a little softer for a day. Remember waking up with that buzz in your chest, just waiting for the world to notice you. Everything felt special: your name, your laughter, even the air around you. For that one day, you mattered in a way that was so simple and pure. But then, somewhere along the way, as we grew up and started guarding our hearts, that magic faded. The same date rolls around every year, but now it just slips by like any other morning. You wake up, check your phone, smile at a few messages, and move on with your day. You tell people, "I don't really celebrate," or "it's just another day." But deep down, is it really? That kind of quiet indifference isn't always emptiness. Sometimes, it's a shield. People who treat their birthday like any other day aren't cold. They often feel everything deeply. They've just learned to carry those feelings quietly. At some point, they figured out that excitement can lead to disappointment. Waiting for others to make you feel special can hurt more than being forgotten. So, they adapt. The mind starts to lower the bar before anyone else can let you down. Psychologists call this emotional self-protection. It's when your heart builds a quiet armor, not because it stopped caring, but because it got tired of being hurt for caring too much. So, you stop expecting. You stop hoping too loudly. You start calling it peace. But sometimes, that peace is really just pain that learned to sit still. We tell ourselves we've grown up. We say, "I don't need a birthday to feel special." And maybe that's true for some. Maybe it's maturity or contentment. They've figured out that joy doesn't always need witnesses, that happiness can exist quietly, without attention. But for others, that line, "it's just another day," isn't peace, it's surrender. A soft kind of giving up after too many disappointments. They once cared. They once hoped someone would remember. But when hope started to hurt, they rewired it into indifference. Not because they wanted to stop feeling, but because feeling started to feel unsafe. For many, birthdays are quietly complicated. They hold emotional fingerprints, memories of who showed up and who didn't. For some, the day brings warmth, laughter, and gratitude. For others, it brings a hollow ache, a reminder that some loved ones have drifted away. So, the mind decides. It's easier not to feel anything at all. Easier to say it's just another day than to admit the pain of being forgotten. Because pretending not to care hurts less than admitting you do. And yet, even the people who say they don't care, care. They might not want parties or surprises, but deep down, they still want to be seen. Not for achievements or appearances, but just for existing. That's what a birthday really is, a small reminder that you exist. That you've made it through another year, through joy and heartbreak, through noise and silence. It's not about attention, it's about acknowledgement. And acknowledgement is one of the most basic emotional needs we have. Even saying "I don't care" is its own kind of caring, just flipped inside out. You can't dismiss something that never mattered. When you've been let down enough times, you start to protect yourself by pretending you don't need anything. You convince yourself you don't crave validation because you're afraid of what it feels like to not get it. It's not pride, it's defense. And after a while, it becomes habit. You celebrate everyone else with ease, but when it's your turn, you go quiet. You don't know how to receive without guilt or overthinking. You downplay the moment before anyone else can ignore it. It's control. It's safety. But it also keeps joy at arm's length. Control feels comforting. It keeps you from being hurt, but it also numbs the thrill of life. You start watching your own happiness from a distance, smiling politely, but never letting yourself get too attached to it. And yet, this isn't emptiness. It's survival. It's what happens when joy leaves without saying goodbye. Birthdays are emotional mirrors. They reflect how you feel about time, growth, and yourself. When you're at peace, they feel like milestones. When you're uncertain, they feel like reminders of what's unfinished or who's missing. That's why birthdays can stir quiet anxiety in adults, not because of age, but because they force you to look at your reflection, your choices, your changes, your years. You compare the life you imagined with the one you're living, and sometimes, that gap feels heavy. So, you make the day smaller, simpler, safer. You turn it into just another day, because that way, it doesn't hurt as much to see how time moves. What's interesting is that people who treat their birthdays like any other day are often the same ones who remember everyone else's. They're the givers, the caretakers, the ones who make others feel special because they know what it feels like to not be. And when their own day comes, they don't expect much, not because they don't want to be seen, but because they've learned how to exist without being noticed. They've mistaken independence for peace and silence for strength. But even the strongest hearts crave warmth sometimes. Even the calmest souls want to feel chosen, even if they'll never say it out loud. As kids, birthdays were about community, a way to feel connected and important. But adulthood changes that. We grow wary of attention. We don't want to look needy. So, we retreat behind casualness, behind phrases like it's not a big deal. But growing quieter doesn't mean you've grown colder. It might just mean your idea of celebration has evolved. Maybe now, joy means peace. Maybe it's no longer about the crowd, but about feeling aligned with yourself. At some point, you realize that real celebration isn't about parties or people. It's about awareness. Did I live this year honestly? Did I grow, even if no one noticed? Did I show up for myself when no one else did? That's what starts to matter. And so, your celebration becomes smaller, quieter, but more meaningful. It looks like cooking your favorite meal, listening to the rain, or simply breathing without rush. That's not indifference, that's evolution. It's when joy no longer needs an audience to be real. Still, even in that peace, there's always a quiet hope that someone will remember. Someone will reach out without being reminded. Someone will say, "Hey, I'm glad you exist." That small, unspoken hope doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Because no matter how independent we become, we never stop wanting to be seen. Birthdays aren't about age. They're about awareness. They're proof that you've made it through another year, through heartbreaks, healing, and everything in between. Even if no one notices, even if you spend the day alone, you still deserve to pause and whisper, "We made it another year." You don't need confetti or candles for that. You just need a moment of honesty with yourself. Because maybe the real celebration isn't about being noticed by others. It's about noticing yourself. It's about understanding how far you've come in a world that rarely pauses to notice anything at all. So, if your birthday feels like just another day, don't see it as emptiness. See it as evolution. You've learned to find meaning in silence. You've learned that peace can exist without performance, and yet let yourself be seen too. If someone remembers, let them in. Don't shrink away from love, even if it feels unfamiliar. Because you deserve that warmth. Even on the quiet days. Especially on the quiet days. Because you're still here. Still growing. Still finding your way through this strange, beautiful world. And that is worth celebrating.